Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to the United Stand. This is your dose of, well, we're going to have to call it the therapy forum this evening, lads, aren't we? There is no beating around the bush. Manchester United have just been beaten 4-3 against Copenhagen in the Champions League, which leaves Manchester United's, shall we say, Champions League hopes hanging by a thread. I've got some great guests lined up this evening who are going to give their thoughts, and we've also got Faz. I had to do that joke. If we can't do some kind of laughter in here this evening, listen, we are going to dissect it. I'm sure there'll be loads of comments flying in, so while you're here, make sure you leave a like on the video. But I'll start from the end. We'll go to AA. We got AA, we got Mauds, and like I said, we got the main man of the moment, Faz. But listen, the game itself has got so many talking points. This is obviously the first game live that I've been able to react to as host, so I can't think of a worse one to do, but we'll try and get through it. I'm sure we will. We'll help each other, you know, through it as we will. AA, I'll come to you first, mate. I don't know where to start with this, mate, but 4-3, you know, Champions League hanging in the balance. There's still a chance, a little chance, but what are your thoughts on the game? We obviously watched it together. Where do we start?
Scandalous. And it sounds so unfair and spoiled bratish of me to say this, but we didn't deserve that in any way, shape or form. That sending off ruined the game, absolutely ruined the game, all ends up. I mean, you know, before it, there's not one performance you could say was bad. We looked compact, we looked dangerous on the attack. And the game plan was working, and it's probably one of the best performances I've seen from United this season. Agree. Up until that. They were fantastic, honestly, and everyone, you know, even players that hadn't been playing so well, all seemed to be really gelling and getting together. And the sending off has absolutely ruined the game. And yes, you could talk about we should see it out from there, but it doesn't help, does it? And we know when things go against these players, a lot of these players, things go wrong, which the end result shows you that. But
well, they say that goals change games, red cards do as well, don't they?
Massively did. It absolutely, especially when it's not deserved, and a player that, you know, is trying to get his way back into the team after being dropped from a game. And it just absolutely ruined any chance of us. And even when we got 3-2 up, it looked like we could concede at any minute. And sadly, we not only conceded one, we conceded two and lost the game, sadly.
Yeah. Mauds, obviously we watched the game together, like I said. What are your thoughts on the game? Obviously, we might as well touch on the red card as well, so let it out. We can talk VAR, we can talk exactly, you know, just pick the meat off the bones here and get straight into it. But what are your overall thoughts? I mean, you look at a game like that, it was in our hands so many times, but I'm guessing it's disappointment.
100% disappointment. I mean, we're watching the game, we were saying, I think even you said this probably might have been the best performance that we've seen United in the first, what was it, 20, 30 minutes? Obviously, there was a long break with the Evans injury and what was going on, but the way United were playing, we were bopping it around, everyone looked comfortable on the ball, even players that have been out of form, players like Rashford, players like Bruno, they were looking good. Everyone was looking like they knew the tactics, they looked like they knew, like Ten Hag seemed like he got a message to the players about, you know, what he wanted for them today. And like I said, it was running smoothly. And then obviously the red card happened, and I literally said when it happened, like, this is going to completely change the game, because in my opinion, the threat from Wan-Bissaka and Rashford on the right, it was looking strong. And I don't usually like Rashford on the right in general. I think he's pretty much pointless in that position. But today, it actually looked like it was effective. And obviously, the first goal came from a link-up play between Rashford and Wan-Bissaka. So him obviously coming off, leaving Wan-Bissaka on his own on the right-hand side, with pretty much Bruno, who kind of plays everywhere anyway, but he was kind of the main player on the right. It was pretty much like a wasted side of the pitch. That whole side of the pitch was just, the threat was just completely gone after Rashford went off. And I mean, obviously, we can touch on to what the red card really was. We said it with them over there. When you slow down certain decisions, and when you slow down a certain play, they always seem 10 times worse than what it really is. I think even the Arsenal game the other day, where Havertz slid in like crazy, and they slowed it down, and they like stopped it on a freeze frame just before Havertz kind of made the tackle, and it looked 100 times worse than what it really was in real life. And it's the same thing with this Rashford challenge. He's obviously not looking at the player. You can see he's trying to shield the ball. He's trying to put his foot over to try and get a bit of space, get a little yard, so then he can tap it out and hopefully make the right pass or work the ball out of trouble. And unfortunately, he's ended up standing on his ankle. And like I said, it looks bad. When you look at the replay, it looks bad. But in real time, when you're looking at it, when we all watched it in real time, a lot of us didn't realise it happened until someone brought it back. So I hate complaining
Any image like that is going to look really, really bad.
Yeah.
We've seen the still image before. Now, if a referee just looks at that, of course it looks bad. But on the grand scheme of things, you have to sit back and look at it, And this is where, the people that are running VAR need to understand what Rashford was actually trying to do.
Intentions,
He's trying to plant his foot. I said to you, if he plants it a second before that foot's there, he gets his foot in front of the ball, and it's a foul on Rashford.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to do. Good players know how to do that, but the still images, they don't look great, but they're not going to look great. And we talk about this subjective and all this nonsense, and you kind of look at it and it is never a sending off. And we are not saying it, through red-tinted specs sat on here because it is the United stand. I firmly believe that any fan of any team, if their player does this, will argue this case.
Yeah.
And, it has changed the game massively.
I mean, I've said before on here that I hate complaining about refereeing decisions because, in my opinion, we should be winning this game regardless. We should be rolling over Copenhagen, home or away. We should be beating them. And when it comes down to refereeing decision, it feels like, I mean, this season I feel like we've had a lot of decisions.
Like you've been cheated.
It feels like we've had a lot of decisions. Like every other game, there's something new about United and a VAR decision, which just kind of it's just frustrating. And now it's like, now I'm trying to think, how many games now, or how different would our season have been if a lot of decisions kind of did go our way? And it's
been far too many. But with the sending off of Rashford, it's not every one of them where you can look at it and say, what can Rashford do better there to not let it happen?
Yeah.
He's genuinely got good intentions to shield the ball, protect the ball for the team, and then get back up the pitch. He's not looked at the player once in terms of seeing where he is so he can stick one on him. It's just an accidental coming together, and obviously, unfortunately for Rashford, it's rolled the ankle. If it hits him on the knee or it hits him on his foot, it doesn't bring a red card for me. It's the fact that the ankle's been rolled, which they deem to be a serious challenge, don't they, when they're looking at stuff on VAR. But like you say, Mods, like the fact that the referees are showing an angle that's slowed down, slow-mo, like you said, it makes everything look worse. What they should be doing is it's showing in real time from a different angle that the referee's not seen first time, so he can make an informed decision. But then what they do is they show it over and over again with someone in his ear of the decision they think it should be. So then you're clouding the referee's judgment. So leave the referee alone, let him watch it once or twice from a different angle, maybe one or two angles, full time, real time, so we can see and make an informed decision. But that needs to change, because I'm not just saying this as a United fan because it's gone against us tonight, but in terms of football, it's VAR and this slowing down of replays is causing far too many issues, like I said, about Havertz. So they need to look at it and really start to change the way refs are looking at things, because for me it's clouding judgments of referees, causing bad decisions, and ultimately causing teams that were comfortable in games results, and ultimately could cost the manager his job.
Yeah. There's just a quick super chat that has rattled in there from Red Army. It's not the most positive super chat that I think I'll ever read. In fact, it's the first ever one I've read in the studio. It says, Varane should never be allowed play United again.
It's a bit of a stretch.
It's a bit harsh. But listen, Faz, I know you won't have your say, mate. We've watched the game. I know you're disappointed like we all are, but give me your general feeling of the game and the roller coaster of emotions that this Copenhagen game was.
Yeah, firstly, I don't think I've ever sat in the studio watching a game where I've been that much overwhelmed. My nervous system feels like it's in shock. It was almost too good to be true to start off with. I hate doing it, but I said, 20-minute FC, we've gone past the 20-minute mark, 30 minutes, you just count down every 10 minutes. Firstly, I just want to say, I feel absolutely horrible for Marcus Rashford. I genuinely do, because things are not looking good for him in general. From a footballing perspective, He's not in the right form. And then that red card, especially in a game where it's a must-win, the manager took off Anthony and started Garnacho today and Rashford, and it's clear he said that he's 100% ready. It's clear that he's a trusted personnel, and to get a red card like that, obviously I'm going to have a bit of bias because I'm a Manchester United supporter, but it's very harsh. It's very, very harsh. And then a bit of news coming out as well about the Rashford brother. It's just all an absolute downhill moment for him. And I feel really, really bad. And on top of that, I absolutely don't think it's actually Erik ten Hag's fault today. There's certain things I'll pick on because not because I'm negative, but because I'm extremely critical about every decision he makes, and rightfully so. That's Manchester United. But I think one thing that we have to establish is we're just not ready. We're not ready to play tough games. We're not ready to go down to 10 men in a game and battle it out. We're not ready to defend. We're just not ready to be a fighting team. The team showed a bit of fight. Don't forget, right? We're trying to block crosses and whatever. But it's just, we're not ready to get down and dirty in the mud to get results out of games. And this is not against Erik or the team. It's just, I don't know what it is, because you see other managers, you see other teams, they might go have a red card. They might need to protect the lead, and they'll do it. And I kept saying, lock up the shop. There is Lindelof there. Bring an extra defender on. Yeah. The substitution, the only thing I can be critical of, and this is me simply because I speak about football and I must analyse every aspect rather than just being plain sailing and say, it's not the manager's fault, it's the team. You took off Rasmus Højlund for Mason Mount. I know that Rasmus needs to come off because Rasmus can't play that many games and that many minutes. But why are you not bringing on Reguilon, and why are you not bringing on Lindelof? Just like the way we throw kitchen sink at it to get goal, you have to throw your kitchen sink at it so that you can defend. And possibly we could have come out with a point. That's the only thing I can pick on. The red card, it turned the game. Playing against a Copenhagen side away from home, they're very intense. They're a mid-block team. They've got good players. Doesn't matter what type of team it is. They've got really good players. That 17-year-old, he's a highly sought-after player from big teams. He's a talent of theirs, and their manager, he used him as a secret weapon. He kept him on the bench, used him as a secret weapon. And we needed to realise that, Varane's not played that many games. He needs support. Maguire tried his best today. Just like we got a penalty, they got a penalty, we got a penalty. One balances out the other, but you have to lock it up. You know that Dallow's not looking good when it comes to far post crosses. You know that his defensive side of game is not sharp. He's played so many minutes. He's played 90 minutes every game. Yeah. When was the last time he got subbed? He's played minutes for his international duty. He's going to be tired, and it's not an excuse. But you bring on defenders on the bench just so you can scrape a point. Just so. And in all honesty, I don't know how we turn this around. People are saying Europa, but Copenhagen was hard. If you thought Copenhagen away was hard, go and research Galatasaray, because that is that's hell.
Welcome to hell.
That is literally welcome to hell. They have only lost, if I'm not mistaken, someone correct me in the chat, 1 out of 20 games.
That's crazy.
So that is what you're up against.
And yes, they're in the Turkish league or whatever, but that is not a joke. That momentum and trust and belief in their team is there. So I don't see us getting out of group stage at all. Obviously, I don't see us going into Europa as well. It would be, as much as I'm an advocate of one game a week, I would like to play European football. I would like to still have midweek games. I know it's not nice, but we're Manchester United. We should be playing as many games as possible. Sure. But then I think the squad is thin. I think we've got injuries. Can we sustain this sort of football? Funny enough, we were 2-0 up. And again, I was saying it to you, that Erik ten Hag isn't celebrating. Have you noticed the camera panned straight onto him, and you could tell that his ice cold, because I think he deep down knew that it's obviously, or he knew it's a 90-minute game, but he knew that it could be one thing that changes the mentality of these players. And he's
probably seen it so many times this season.
And I don't want to. You know what? I could sit here and go in on the players, but I feel bad. I really do. I don't want to go in on them.
I don't think they deserve it. I genuinely like. What's cost us most this season is individual errors, and that's, you say, what can Erik ten Hag do about that? We talk a lot about players need to concentrate for 90 minutes, and I think the same applies to managers a lot of the time. Managers need to be concentrating and staying in the game, and Faz raises brilliant points about You know, instead of throwing the sink at something, block your toilet. Let nothing get in there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, get the defenders on, to see the game out. It's so important that we came away with nothing. And Ten Hag, for me, if there's any criticism at all, which I'm not saying it is, that he needed to really sort of realise that the game was against us in every asset. You know, we're away from home in a tough atmosphere, and it's a game. When we got drawn against Copenhagen, I said that's probably the one, or one of the ones we lose away from home, because it's typical of Manchester United to either play bad there or just get a negative result. And up until the sending off, I think he'd played it perfectly. That's the perfect away performance in Europe. I mean, we looked dangerous every time we went in their half. Like I say, every player was on the job, and it's the first time I can say that confidently. But the players that a lot of people don't want to be in the team were doing the things that we've wanted them to do all season long. It looked perfect, and you know, the Evans one probably, you know, knocked a bit of confidence in the team as well. But the manager needs to know, listen, the ref is against us, clearly. VAR against us. The crowd obviously going to be against us. And the players are buoyed by all this for the opposing team. What I need to do is just get out of here with whatever I can and take a point, and we just look forward to, or dread, the Galatasaray game. But sometimes you just have to be in the moment and realise I just have to save my bacon. But it's not going to happen.
To be fair, I agree, but I don't think we came out in second half bad. I actually think we came out in second half pretty decent.
We started the second half like we started the first half, which was really, we set the tone.
I think they were setting a trap. I think because, sorry to cut you off, Robbie Savage mentioned it, that I can't believe they're sitting back, I can't believe they're sitting back. They wanted us to go forward and look for more goals so they could break on us, and they were doing it consistently, especially against the full-backs, because sometimes, like we've seen, they lack concentration, and Wan-Bissaka had a really good game, but I think they were really setting a trap for us to break and then look to punish us that way, which I think they did it on numerous times. But I know what you mean, we still looked in the game all the way through it, but at certain moments, we just have to batter down the hatches.
May I make a few points, if that's okay?
Go for it. Well, can I just read the super chat quickly? Quinn Star says, if we got in Europa League, we should win it, which... It's debatable whether we'll even get in the Europa League at this stage. But World Tour as well, thank you for the super chat, says, let's be honest, yes, the team isn't playing well, but Ten Hag, tactically, didn't respond very well to the red card. It's as simple as that. Is it as simple as that? Sorry if that throws you off.
Yes and no. Yes and no, and I'll tell you why. You have to look at a game overall. We can pick out moments and say, okay, this moment at the start it was good. Second half at the start it was good. But are we actually sitting back and saying, what was Copenhagen's plan tactically? They're a mid-block team. From the kickoff, they were okay for us to have the ball. Let's not forget, they didn't press us. They're a pressing team, but this game they didn't press us. They said, okay, Man United, let them have the ball. They will make the mistakes, because that's what we traditionally have been doing this game. And I'm no tactical.
Setting traps.
That's right, setting traps. Obviously the red card occurred, and they started growing on confidence. But again, in the second half, when we started having more possession of the ball, they sat back. And that clearly told me that they're patient to get a goal from a mistake that's going to happen. And that's exactly what happened. Lapse of concentration is what's costing us. It's not... Yes, you can say Erik ten Hag. You're looking at that game. You're seeing that they're happy for us to have possession. That should be a massive warning sign. Any team that sees Man United getting, knocked out with a red card are going to pounce on you, right? Instead, they held out, and Erik ten Hag didn't lock up the shop. That is the simple. I know you have injuries. I know you're lacking on defenders and whatever as such. But in a moment like this, when can we afford? Can we actually afford to be out of Champions League, considering our wage bill, considering how much we've spent? Can Man United, considering how broke, how much debt we're in, can we afford it? I don't think we can afford it. Harry Maguire had a chance to score a header, I think, in the second half, even that volley. Maybe we could have had a moment where someone gets a goal from a corner kick and we make the most out of that, and we get a goal and the game is maybe won or drawn. But to think that we try to maybe attack a bit with 9 men and maybe have possession, I think that's where we should have picked up on that and said, this is not this is a warning sign. They're setting traps.
I agree, but I think he should have been reactive after the penalty. I think that's the point where he messed up. In my opinion, coming out in the second half, how he came out was the right decision. I think the problem that we had at the end of the first half was everything was a bit very sluggish. Everything was a bit scattered. Like the ball was just flying around. We couldn't really get a hold of the ball. They were pressing us a lot, and yeah, everything was all over the place. So, in my opinion, coming out in the second half, a bit more composed, keeping the ball. I think we had the ball for like the first 5-10 minutes until like Maguire kicked it out or something like that. And then, like I said, when we got that penalty, sometimes you need these kind of lucky things, because it was a bit lucky. Let's be honest. The penalty wasn't anything that we kind of deserved really. It was just a Maguire header onto a hand. And really and truly, like we said before, that shouldn't be a penalty. In my opinion, it shouldn't be a penalty. But the way they've been officiating this year, they've given it against us. They gave it against Eriksen. I think it was against Bayern Munich, where he headed against Eriksen's hand. It's the exact same thing. So he had to give that penalty. And when you get them kind of lucky decisions in a game that's going against you, you have to be reactive and think, okay, I've been blessed right now with a goal, with a penalty. We're 3-2 up. Now let me start to actually lock up, put on, like you said, a Lindelof, a Reguilon, to be a bit more defensive, but he obviously didn't.
Yeah. Sorry, I've just got a couple of super chats quickly. Flash Talk says, Ten Hag in. Tonight was our best game so far. So much fight. Yeah. I think we can all kind of agree on that. Well, I've read that one, haven't I? Worst United team since we got relegated in the 1970s. That's Connor something like that, is it?
Connor.
Ironically, I haven't liked how we've been playing, but did tonight want us playing like this versus stronger teams that don't sit back. Unlucky tonight. I'll finish them ones off in a minute. I've just there's a few quotes coming through from Ten Hag. These are up on the United stand now. Ten Hag has said about the red card changes everything. And we can see 2 goals before half-time that should never have come. The first is offside, the second is a penalty, very debatable. The red card is also harsh. The ref has so long to make it a red card. I think we can all agree on this, can't we? I'm reading comments in the comment section, the excuse stand, Ten Hag out, you know, I think we just need to sit back, you know, and kind of dissect what has happened this evening. Football is a funny game, isn't it? Yeah. And that was a roller coaster of emotions this evening.
Not just the red card though. El Yunusi, one of the goals they scored, Mohamed El Yunusi is stood in front of Onana in an offside position.
Yeah.
What the hell?
But even with 10 men, Manchester United have given it a good goal this evening. The annoying thing is the lapses in concentration defensively, you know. And for me, the people that are in the comment section, you know, calling for Ten Hag, get this fraud out my club, this, that. How can you put this on Ten Hag? How can you put a red card on Ten Hag? Ten Hag would have had a game plan going into this game, and that gets thrown out the window straight away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What can he do? Is that?
I think it's in-game management more than anything, isn't it?
It has to be. You know, absolutely.
It was still there though, still good in-game management today. Would you say? He's made the change at half-time. I think we knew that.
But
Eriksen...
Amrabat wasn't. Amrabat looked so.
Please.
I just don't understand. I think he gave away like 4 or 5 passes in a span of 20 minutes.
What other options have we got?
Well, Lindelof and Reguilon. That's all it is. You bring in your defenders, and you've got a red card. You're down on 10 men. Your forwards, the workload of Rashford, whatever it is going to get shared out by Garnacho and Bruno and Rasmus now. Yeah. And how many times did we say they look tired? Yeah. They just looked deflated a bit, right? Deflated a bit. But if they've decided that's a red card, how on earth have they not seen El Yunusi standing in an offside position? And why didn't they stop the game and check it? Because that is criminal. Yeah. That is not Onana can't even see properly. He's impacting the game. He's impacting the goalkeeper, and that should be checked out. And why they didn't, I don't understand.
It's crazy. You know, you say football's a funny game. It seems Manchester United just seems to be the biggest joke at the minute, and that's not down to Manchester United. That just seems to be the rub of the green that we're getting in every single game. Decisions just consistently going against us. Like you say, like he's clearly offside. El Yunusi. How they've not even checked it? Because they check everything else when it's Manchester United. So why they're not doing the same? When you talk about substitutions and everything like that, I think the Mason Mount one as well is a bit of a mistake for me. When we're talking about if the ball was going up top, we need someone there who can keep it. Mason Mount's not going to do that. Martial is on the bench, and I think the few cameos he's had this season, although he doesn't look like scoring, he's looked like he can hold the ball up and hold the play up. That's why it's consistently changing for Højlund. And if he's going to take Højlund off tonight, I'd assume it would be for Anthony Martial. Again, I don't see what Mason Mount's going to do in that.
What's he going to add?
He's not adding anything.
What is he
He's not
going to
keep the ball. He's not going to hold it up for players to run on. I don't know what the substitution is there for. Even Amrabat, Lindelof has played CDM. I don't know if was it for Ten Hag last season or the season before.
I think he has played that position.
Put him there. Put someone else there. Like you say, Lindelof, he's not had the greatest of seasons, but just shore everything up, And I have to shout out McTominay and Maguire today. I think they were both fantastic again. They are showing myself up. I'm one of them fans that doesn't rate him, and they're proving worth to this team at the moment. And things will go against you. They constantly seem to be for Manchester United. We have to take the positives out tonight and look at that first 30 minutes and see, we can play the way the manager sets us out in tough games away from home. We just have to look on now, move on. It's sad that this Champions League run's going to come to an end quite soon for us. I'd prefer to come bottom of the group and not go into the Europa League. I don't think I can do Thursday nights again.
I do want to get onto some positives. There are some more super chats I'll just read very quickly. Whilst we're on the kind of subject of positivity, I've got one that says, is everyone forgetting Liverpool's in the Europa League? No way this team can beat Liverpool in its current state. Yeah. Positivity, love that. That's from the greasy troll. You are a greasy troll. We've got Mike Holding who says, I actually think Højlund, Garnacho had very good games. Feel for all the players, but them especially were very dangerous in the attack and worked very hard. Kia says, club needs to be built from ground up. Players' attitude is all wrong. Liverpool won against Newcastle, man down at St James's. Mario says Rashford is overrated and the reason we fail. Don't quote me on that. That was Mario saying that. We don't want any more trouble on here.
I always preferred Luigi anyway.
And we've got Rael Middleton says, where was the red for the blatant elbow on Højlund? That is another talking point, actually a good one. And I'm not even going to read the name out of that last one, but I can read. I'll just make sure I can. I'm kind of proofreading before I do it. Says, I don't blame Erik Ten Hag. I blame the players' mentality. But on a positive note, Højlund this evening, you said it before the game, this is where he kind of shines in the Champions League. 2 goals, look good. Bit gutted to see him come off towards the end.
Not gutted because again he looked tired.
Running out of steam.
Yeah, he looked very tired. It's a lot of minutes that he's playing through every week.
But at the same time, in previous games when we have been chasing a goal, Ten Hag has been, supporters have looked and said, why has he brought Højlund off? Is this kind of part of the plan? Is it just because at this certain time we look and think we need a goal threat that's on there? But it was clearly evident this evening that he was blowing. Yeah,
I don't exactly remember what minute he came off. Was it the 70th minute or something like that? 70th? I can't remember from the top of my head, but look, we have to make subs based on balance. We can sit here and say, a big portion of fans will say it's not Erik's fault, and some will say it's Erik's fault. And the middle ground is he got that substitution wrong, and we'll never know what would have happened if Martial had come on, and Martial probably be kicking himself. But I'm going to make another point, and this is on a total side note. Manchester United wanted to part ways with Donny van der Beek all summer. Real Sociedad was one of the teams that Man United didn't let him go because the loan fee wasn't enough. Manchester United didn't register Donny van der Beek for the Champions League. And that's another player that could have been used in our Arsenal. Whether he's good or bad or whatever, he might be the most terrible, whatever. But we have 2 goalkeepers in the bench when we don't need to.
Yeah.
We don't need, it's the minute little things that I look at and it makes me deflated and upset about the situation that's going on. Johnny Evans, again, another player that Man United brought in when they needed to bring in a centre-back. Centre-back was probably the most priority. The average age of the centre-backs is 30 plus years old. In the back, 4 centre-backs above 30 years old or 30 years and above. You brought in Johnny Evans, and God bless him, but he's got injured now.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's 35 years old. It's a lot of games for him to play. He might be a fantastic player. He might be a world-class player, but he's 35 years old and his body can't keep up. And I know Ricky sings his prop, but these are the little things that make me upset. And I want to sit here and shout and tell you, I believe that we can beat Galatasaray. I believe that we can beat Bayern Munich. But not anyone can tell me they believe that.
You know that somewhere, right this moment in time, Ricky will be in an Irish bar, won't he? And he'll be trying to convince some Man United fans
Him and Ryan.
that Johnny Evans should have got the Ballon d'Or ahead of Lionel Messi. Just a quick super chat that has come in there. Is it Jake Marshall? Sorry, it says, why do they say potential red card check if it's for supposedly clear and obvious errors? They shouldn't need to clarify what the ref is seeing. And Leo says, I have a question for this panel. Would you have started Reguilon, or as Ricky says, Reguilon? Get it right. Reguilon as left back, a traditional left back. I like Dalot, but was that correct, Maud? Dalot, in my opinion, Dalot, we talked about him maybe in the preview show, didn't we? Maybe playing too much football.
Yeah.
Is it starting to catch up with him? Obviously, a mistake for the goal. If we're going to be really harsh and kind of look at it, but...
I mean, I'm actually a fan of Dalot playing left back over right back anyway. I think him and Wan-Bissaka, especially the way how Ten Hag is making him play, he's very inverted. We've seen him sometimes in this game, and he's literally playing as a centre mid sometimes. I don't see Reguilon doing that. I don't see Reguilon playing that style of football. So, in general, I prefer Dalot over Reguilon. However, watching him in this game, he looked like he was finished, like completely tired.
Did you see him jogging back? And then just standing.
And then, yeah, he's tired. And you can tell, like, again, in-game management, Ten Hag
so
can
is
see
that the point that Eric Ten Hag should look and think...
100%. Even Lindelof. If you don't want to put Reguilon there, put Lindelof there. We've seen him play there numerous times.
Yeah,
put someone in.
Because it was like 55 minutes when he was blowing. And you think, it's clear, and yes, he hasn't played a lot of football. I agree with Maud's. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of him as a right back. Left back, he's done well. He did well against Fulham. He deserved to start again tonight, and I think in the first half he had some really good moments, especially linking up with Garnacho. I thought he played actually a decent game, but when you start to see full-back who's, you know, on the wrong side, essentially, blowing as hard as he was, quite early on in the second half, you need to act fast. You've got Reguilon sitting on the bench there who, you know, think what you will, has done okay, performed okay in a Manchester United shirt, so get him on, shore up that left-hand side, and just roll on with and see what he can do. But for me, you know, he got caught out for their third goal, was it? I think, you know, at the back post, and it's just that lack of concentration again. And if he's not on the pitch, Reguilon's there, who's a bit more fresh. Potentially doesn't happen, but it's one of those you have to just live and learn.
Go on.
In the second half, you see, whilst I think it was 3-3 or it was 3-2 or whatever it is, but you see Copenhagen, the way they're playing is they're not forcing the cross. If you notice, they weren't forcing it. They kept playing with their with their outfield players, outside the box players, and they just kept passing 1-2, 1-2, and they waited for the perfect time to cross. Now, you see, they've tried it a few times, and we managed to clear it out or whatever, right? It's gone for a goal kick or whatever. And I was saying, watching with you all, watch the cross, and then they don't cross. And then I say, watch the cross, then they cross, right? You see that you have to bring on an extra defender because the likelihood of the ball going far post is more. And I tell you why, is both Dalot and Bissaka are not good at defending far post crosses. I mentioned this before. You know this because you're the manager of Man United. If I can see it, you've probably seen it before me because you see them every single day in training. So you bring in an extra defender. Lindelof's a tall defender. He's there to be utilised. You utilise him. You didn't. And Dalot, again, he mentioned against the Palace game, and again, this is me being critical and just not nitpicking, but noticing things and writing it on my Excel sheet. He mentioned in the Newcastle game that Manchester United players aren't gifted rest. They deserve. They have to earn it.
Earn rest.
They have to. That was his words. If anybody deserves rest, not because of level of performance, but based on minutes, it's Dalot. It's Dalot. If he plays Dalot against Luton now, and then Dalot makes a mistake, yes, he shouldn't be making a mistake. But Lord, how many minutes are you going to play him for?
You're not helping him.
You're not helping him.
Especially the style of play that he plays as well.
You've played him 55 minutes. You've seen him walking and standing there, and he's almost lethargic. He's not going to his winger. He's just jockeying his winger. you can tell the kid is done.
Yeah.
Just take him off.
Yeah.
Spare him the misery. Yet you leave him on and he's having lapse of concentration. Bissaka had lapse of concentration as well, don't forget, in the first half, one of the moments. But you see that and you chose to bring on Mason Mount for Rasmus Højlund. I wish someone in the media room asks him this. What did he think? Did he think Mason Mount's going to dribble past 2 players and score? I don't know.
But I think the Mason Mount conversation is interesting because, I mean, how much was it? What, 55, 65 million?
55, 60 million.
55 billion, and there is no place for him in this team right now. And for a player of what he was supposed to be anyway, what we expected him to be, he's coming into his team and he's not even being allowed to play in his natural position. He's just being forced in to just cover players who can't play at the moment. And that's when you know you're in trouble, when you're not even being put in for a certain reason. You're being put in just to try and help other players get a bit of rest or whatnot. I mean, you look at Amrabat coming in over Eriksen, that should have been Mount. In his ideal world, he should have been the one coming in to try and make that impact. Instead, we're bringing on Amrabat, who, like you said, lost the ball 4 or 5 times. I don't think Mount would have lost the ball that many times. In fact, I personally think Mount probably would have been a better substitute in that situation. But obviously, I'm not going to speculate whether what's going on behind the scenes or whatnot, but it's just interesting how Mount isn't really being able to get into this team as much as he should have.
Well, considering he's a Ten Hag signing as well.
Yeah.
It's not a player from a past regime that he's having to use because he's there at the club. You do kind of look at it and you think, this is a strange one.
There's even rumours now, you know, you can't say for sure that is he even actually a Ten Hag signing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Because
Thank you very much.
I disagree with Martin slightly in that Mason Mount is doing exactly what I thought Mason Mount would do at Manchester United, and that's absolutely nothing. I was on the first forums and I didn't rate him.
I remember you saying it.
I didn't think he was a good signing for Manchester United. Didn't understand it at the time. Too many players similar to what he does in Eriksen and Bruno, and I didn't see what he would do for this team. And now he's being played as a false 9. Further shows me that maybe Ten Hag doesn't have a plan for him. He was another signing forced upon a manager at Manchester United for a heavy fee that ultimately may not succeed, especially with Ten Hag here. If Ten Hag goes and Mount says maybe the next manager finds a place for him, but it has to be worrying that the player we chased all summer, instead of a centre-back, instead of a DM, instead of a striker, and spent a hefty fee on, is nowhere near starting in a must-win game for Manchester United. That really screams there's something terribly wrong.
Can I also add, and again, series of events, Faz's Excel sheet. Fabrizio says that Manchester United were linked with Xavi Simons, a player that would be competing for certain positions in this team. Yeah. Can anybody tell me, is Mason Mount competing against anyone in this team? Is he competing with Bruno Fernandes? It's not really.
No.
Xavi Simons, on the other hand, a much younger player, a flamboyant player who's doing really well, is a project player, makes more sense. Yeah. Someone that you buy for a manager who you want the manager to nurture and a manager that you want to keep in the club. Doesn't make sense, right? That's that. Then Mason Mount gets signed with a click of a finger. Xavi Simons, in the next 24 hours, if I'm not mistaken, gets his trigger, the contract thing with PSG, buyback clause, and then they loan him out. Right, okay. Mason Mount comes in. The number 7 shirt gets put on him. They make, and let's not forget who owns us. Let's not forget who loves a Stormzy music video when Pogba signed. Let's not forget who owns us. The Glazers put us number 7 on him, and they make a huge deal out of it, right? Flamboyant marquee signing Mason Mount, Champions League winner. Okay, Mason Mount's bought. Mason Mount then goes on pre-season, does a little bit, and then all of a sudden, Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes play a game together, and it doesn't work. Erik ten Hag is then asked about the midfield. Erik ten Hag in a press conference specifically says, this is all factual information, not made up, he says the midfield is not an issue. He says that. Yeah. Then, all of a sudden, Mason Mount is now out of the first starting 11. He doesn't play any games. Questions. And now, after a few games go by, there's reports coming out that Man United aren't happy with Mason Mount's playing minutes because of, and they're concerned about shirt sales.
It's number 7, yeah.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. This is all factual information out in the public domain. This is not malicious rumors. This is for you guys to see in black and white. And I just look at series of events of my club and I call it as it is. I was saying that Mason Mount is not an Erik ten Hag signing, and I'm yet to be proven wrong. I rest my case.
Here's one, a super chat that's just come in. T-Girl Daisy Taylor, which is quite... I was going to touch on whether we think this dressing room is there issues. I think deep down we know that everything's not rosy at Manchester United. The super chat says, hey guys, has Sancho affected this whole team spirit? Do you all think, please? Thank you, Kev.
No.
No.
No way.
No issue.
No.
You don't think there's any Manchester United at this moment in time that's maybe siding with Sancho, maybe thinking that he has been hard done by, and that is creating some kind of division at Manchester United?
But why would it? Your mate's been penalised for his own behaviour.
That's a weak mentality in my opinion. If you're obviously, there are people who are friends with Sancho. We know Rashford's obviously close with him, and we see them kind of talking. We see the interaction that they have outside of the pitch. But for me, if you're a player and your game is affected because of your teammate, you're weak. That's your weak mentality. You're not ready to play for a club that big, because really and truly, you should still be fighting for your position. End of the day, if you're a player who, someone like Anthony, he's trying to take your position. You shouldn't be affected because he's not in the team. And yeah, it is a team sport and it's a collective. We're all going to try and win together, but you shouldn't, your game, your level, your standard, your quality should never be affected by a situation that's outside of your field, like outside of your perspective, something like that.
If I'm Rashford or I'm Anthony or any wide player and Sancho gets suspended, buzzing. That means more game time. If Faz gets suspended by United stand, I'm like, more air time for me, boys. I don't. That's up to him. You should, as a professional footballer, you have to think about the team. You have to think about yourself, and a lot of players do think about themselves. Yes, you may think, behind the scenes might be a bit harsh. I'm not going to say anything like that in case that happens to me. But at the end of the day, you have to look out for yourself, and if that means that there's one less player fighting for your position, I can't imagine it's causing many issues. And we hear about the leaks and stuff like that, and there has been, it's all Sancho is basically saying other players get ahead of him for favouritism. Now, the major one who he's supposed to be friends with is Rashford. So, is he saying something against his mate? And his mate don't seem like he's in defence of him, because he seemed happy at Manchester United and wants to play for Manchester United. So I don't think the Sancho thing is causing an effect. I just think at the moment there's too many players not playing to their required level or the level we know they can play at, and it's just too many. And the injuries are killing us as well. I think it's other elements that are causing us not to perform at the level we was at last season. I think the Sancho thing, as bad as it is and as unprofessional as it looks, can't be allowed to get into the dressing room. Can't be allowed.
No other manager has had anything like what Ten Hag's had to deal with at Manchester United. You can mention Sancho, you can mention Greenwood, Ronaldo's situation, even De Gea, Maguire, Anthony. Jesus, anyone?
Yeah.
It's
2 points, maybe 3. 1, Erik ten Hag was going from a detached house to a mansion. Dealing with Man United is like a 50-bedroom mansion. Dealing with Ajax, with no disrespect to Ajax, Manchester United organisation is massive. This is a lot more public eyes and a lot more. So I'm sure as a manager, he's probably prepared for that, right? But hear this. Let's say you want to go out for some drinks and you ask us 3 to come with you. If us 3 say, let's go, then we'll all go, right? But if us 3 say, nah, we're not feeling it, you're not going to go out alone, are you? You're going to say, okay, the boys are not feeling it, I'm going to stay inside. You're a product of your environment. That's one. And also, the other point is, if Manchester United team came together and maybe had a word with Sancho, I don't know if they have, I don't know. Maybe got him into a room and said, right, Sancho, look, you know what? You've not had XYZ, whatever's happened, but let's put it all to bed and say sorry to the manager because we want you back, or you will be an addition. I'm not comparing Jadon Sancho to David Beckham, but I look at the David Beckham documentary and I look at it as an example. When David was training again and again and again, and the manager was looking at it, and the manager has said, you're not playing for my club again. You're not playing under me again. But the players went to the manager and said, Gaffer, let David train with us. The players did that. And I think if Jadon Sancho has had whatever issues it is, I don't know why he's coming late and whatever, unless he comes out and says, I've never been late, right? Whatever it is, the players, I think in this moment, have to take some responsibility to bring someone who's part of the team back in and show them that let's work hard together, because as much as it's an individual sport, we also need to train together and we need to work hard together. And if Jadon Sancho then decides to be a lone wolf and a lone soldier and be stubborn, then there you go. That speaks volumes, and that's on him for whatever reason that is.
In my opinion, one thing that's more important than someone like Sancho playing is the respect for the manager. In this situation, it seems like it's a case of, are the players respecting me, or are they choosing Sancho? It's one or the other. You're either picking the manager's side or you're picking Sancho's side. What I'd prefer is everyone pick the manager's side, because at the end of the day, what's Sancho going to do for you? He's not going to pay your bills. He's not going to get you to play football. I'd rather whatever decision the manager makes, the players all follow suit. And you can deal with your personal situation with Sancho outside of Man United. But the way out, we always look at, for example, Oli, and we say the problem that he had was the fact that he never had the dressing room. He never had that command over the dressing room where he could really make any decision he wants. The decisions that Fergie used to make, Mourinho used to make, Pep makes, those kind of decisions in the dressing room, Oli never really had that. He didn't have the authority, he didn't have it in him. Now that Ten Hag's doing it, people are saying, oh,
They don't like it.
they don't like it. It's all of a sudden it's who we picking, the player and the manager. It should never be. That shouldn't even be a conversation. You don't go to work and if your colleague does something, you're not going to think, am I going to side my colleague or the manager? No, because when your job goes, you're gonna go to. You're not going to be looking at your colleague asking to employ you, are you? So, in my opinion, the most important thing for them players to be doing is siding with what the manager said. Because at the end of the day, that's his decision, and he's the one in charge of everything, and he's the one in charge of the success, your personal success in the club as well.
There's some more quotes coming out from our gaffer, Erik Ten Hag. He says, I saw lots of positives, but in the end, we lose some focus. It's hard when you play so long with 10 men, which I think we've all touched on and we can certainly agree on. He's not pulling the wool over our eyes. He says, that was the best 20 minutes I saw from my side. Also, with 10, we were still controlling the game. It's very disappointing. We fought so hard, played so good. Still, we don't have 1 point. Let me just see if there's anything else. Bruno Fernandes has also said, we have a mountain to climb, so we must climb. We have 2 games and we have to win those 2 games. Before tonight, our aim already was to win our remaining games. We couldn't win today. We have to win the next 2. On Bruno Fernandes, any takers? What did we think as a performance? Captain's performance, obviously scored the penalty, which looked like we might go on to win that game today.
I mean, you scored the penalty and you're going to celebrate, aren't you?
Yeah.
Look, many a times I've said I don't like his pressing, but I think today he worked exceptionally hard and then he scored a crucial penalty. And
I thought the front 3 were good today. For the press.
I do.
You could tell there was a game
his position at times. It's just a shame, and I hate to use 20 minutes sample size to say that there's belief in this team, because that's not good enough. No. You know, I'm sorry, but I can't sit there and tell you, hey guys, look at the 20 minutes we played against Copenhagen. Let's believe. I can't. It has to be a full 90 minutes. That's what football is. That no matter what level, that's, you know.
Do you not think this is a sign of how crazy this season has been? I think we can all agree. As a performance, would you agree that that is the best performance we've had this season?
1 of 2.
Yeah, well,
Crystal Palace.
The first 20 minutes against Bayern was exactly the same. Then we shit the bed, and then we lost that game the exact same scoreline. So this team have done it before, especially in the Champions League. We need to see it over 90 minutes. It's something we've not seen from this Manchester United team at all. I don't think United have had a full 90 minutes, maybe Spurs last season. But we don't see it enough. We don't see consistency in performances with this team. And yes, give us a nice 20 minutes here and there, but you've lost the game at the end of the day. And it's that 90 minutes that is so crucial for us to really progress as a team. And, you know, I said on the space, we talked about Bruno, I said on the space yesterday on the preview, like, who's our most important player? It had to be Bruno today. And I think he did lead. He did lead well, but I think he was sort of lost in that second half, being pushed out onto the right again, where we know when you put Bruno out there, you're not getting loads from him. Yes, he scored the penalty, but you feel bad for him because he has to do it for the team. He does it for the team gladly, and he'll always put in that shift for you. But it was a better performance, especially in the first half. He looked really dangerous, and he looked like he was on it. Really.
I think the gaffer and Bruno, especially those 2 players, need to inject some venom into this team. and I am going to compare, and I can hate to do this because fans will just hate me for saying the name. Obviously, the Zidane video went viral for that, but look at Diego Simeone. He injects venom into his team where they do shithousery, they make weird tackles, they waste time. And guess what? When the full-time whistle blows, no matter what the scoreline is, it could be 1-0, they celebrate like they freaking won something massive.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do. We need to inject some shithousery, some venom into this team.
Do you not think that's a thing that comes with time?
Well, look at last,
has managed that
look
team.
at last season.
Sure.
Every save and every block, give away a corner, they'd be going mad with each other. Yeah. Yes, well done, that's gone. I don't see that as much anymore.
But do you not think injuries have contributed to that?
No.
But
That's a team-wide. That's a team-wide.
The team spirit should still be there, regardless of who plays.
Yeah.
When you come in, the level is still the same. The team spirit is still there because you're all in it together. And like you say, Simeone's made Morata into a world beater again. He's, joint leading goal scorer in the Champions League this season. When people think he's linked with us again in the summer, and everyone's like, oh no, not a chance. But I want him at Manchester United. We need that belief back in everything you do is a win. It is a win. Even the small things, a little nick out for a corner, even giving away a throw in, it's a win, and you celebrate every single win, and that breeds that die-hard attitude that you can get through games and just be tough to beat.
I think we did have that last season. I just don't think we had we've got competition for places. And I think a massive call this evening, when we look at this game and the news dropped that Rashford was in ahead of Antony, I'm not for 1 minute now suggesting in hindsight that was a bad move, because I think Antony has been awful, but there's definitely a conversation to be had about Antony and the fact that Erik ten Hag, for the first time tonight, his guy, his favourite, whatever, the guy that he's brought from Ajax, he's clearly left him out of the team this evening, hasn't he?
Yeah. First, I'm going to say about that point you just made, when it comes to the whole mentality thing, first of all, that is on the manager as well. The manager has to be, especially at half-time. When you're coming in at half-time, you want your manager to rile everyone up and be able to say, you want to see the players run out there thinking, there is no way we're losing this game because of what the manager's installed into them. Yeah. That kind of fierce, especially the fact that, I know this playing Sunday League and playing the Premier League isn't the same, but when you have a player go off and you're playing with 10 men and it's an unfair red card and the whole team feels like you've been hard done by, and especially when you had an injury as well, the rest of the team kind of gets that energy as there's no way we're losing this now. Yeah. Because we all collectively feel like we shouldn't even be in this position. So the rest of the team, usually you come out and you're thinking, nah, whatever needs to be done is going to be done. And I didn't see that with this team coming out. I didn't see that whole, whatever, regardless of how this game ends, we're going to make sure we come out on top. I didn't really see that especially when Rashford came off and late into the second half, which, like I said, I feel like the manager and the captain being Bruno, I didn't feel like they kind of pushed that kind of mentality, like you said, into the team. Yeah,
that save that Onana made the first time we played Copenhagen, and I think from the under-8s to the senior team started celebrating, everybody on the pitch. That moment, it felt like the team was together, right? The Bruno goal against Fulham felt like the team was together. But the team comes together in a moment where they think, oh my God, we didn't think we're gonna win this game, and it's a relief. Oh, let's celebrate.
I was just gonna say to you, do you not think them two moments, Copenhagen and Fulham last weekend, that was all about relief? Because we talk about papering over the cracks.
Right. But Brentford as well, right? Brentford game as well. Yeah. You'd think those moments would help, but looking at on the pitch, I don't think the players trust the colleagues next to them. And there's something called celebrate your colleagues' achievements, CCAs, I call them in my line of work. Trust your colleague, celebrate your colleagues' achievements. Except for Dalot going up to players and celebrating little things. I don't see, and this is not me giving Dalot any props or anything, but I just see it on the pitch. I don't see anybody celebrating anything. No. Someone's made a tackle. Celebrate it. Yep. Someone's made a save. Someone's done something good. Be positive and try and keep that fire burning. It's like soon as one game, one moment, one team, one situation have a bit of success, we just start deflating and people start looking at each other like, what we're going to do. I'm looking at you to help me out and you're looking at me to help you out. and it's not working. And the manager's supposed to be on the sideline, keep telling the players, no, believe, celebrate, you've done well, you did this well, you did that well. But because it's a ship that's constantly drowning, it just feels like there's no turning point. That's what it feels like.
Especially in that kind of stadium as well, because you're already pretty much playing against 12 men regardless, because that stadium sounded like there were 10 million people in a stadium, but end of the day there's 11 people or 22 people on the pitch, so you have to fight them battles. It's hard to obviously say forget what the stadium sounds like, but end of the day when you're going up against a battle, it's you versus that person, so you have to just block out the noise and think, I'm going to win every single battle on this pitch, because like I said, they have to.
He said that, didn't he? Yeah. The Copenhagen gaffer said that.
That's right.
It's the siege mentality that you need when you go to places like that. And, like, you know, football, it's all about adrenaline. And, like, you know, Moore's come over to me like, well done. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm on it today.
Yeah.
I'm on job. I'm going to see this through. Like you say, we don't see it enough, this Manchester United team. And I think, as we've seen, they're really soft and the heads drop quite quickly. And as soon as we had the red card, I think all of us feared, you know, what actually transpired in the game.
What are we thinking from what you've seen of Amrabat so far? Because I think there's huge question marks now. People I've spoken to have looked and they've gone, you know, we've got him on loan. Obviously, there'll be an option to make that permanent. Maud's, I'll go to you first, mate. Would you, is that something on current form, looking at him, that you'd think?
To make him permanent? Yeah, I would make him Amrabat permanent. I think initially when he came in, I thought he was actually really good. I know he was obviously played a bit out of position, played at left back sometimes. Sometimes he played with Casemiro. I think his problem is his positive attributes are really, really good. It reminds me a bit of Fred. I call him a better Fred. Like he covers a lot of ground, a lot of tackles, a lot of interceptions. However, his negative attributes, because he plays so deep, when he gets caught out of possession, it's a bigger problem compared to, let's say, a Bruno losing possession. Because Bruno loses possession, he's still got two midfielders who are probably behind him, and he's still got the whole back four and whatnot. Whereas Amrabat, he plays so deep, when he loses the ball or he misses a pass, they're on a counter-attack, and it's dangerous for us. So it's really just a case of picking the players around him, making sure that it's more that the midfield is a bit more balanced. And when he plays on a more balanced midfield, I feel like he plays better. He doesn't have as much pressure, and his weaknesses aren't as exposed. But I would definitely say he's a player that we should keep. But saying that though, we do have a lot of midfielders. So if he is to stay, someone's got to leave.
Can he play centre back?
I hope so. I've just got a few super chats very quickly. Darren Mulaney says, I can't see us qualifying for Europa now with last two games being hard. I hope Jim Ratcliffe recruits, gets good young boys. Maybe shouldn't have read that one. I don't know where I'm going with that one. Dano's Aviation says, form went up at the news the Glazers were going. Form went down when the Glazers were touted as staying. Happy for anyone to prove me wrong. LJ says, these players haven't been able to play 90 minutes consistently for ages now. I remember hearing these conversations back with Mourinho. It's heartbreaking. It's quite true, that, isn't it? Yoshimo says, feel bad for Erik ten Hag. We were absolutely destroying them until that red card. Hard to judge anything after that. But we were still in it even then, which it is. It's a worry, isn't it? We have seen it under past managers that these players, a lot of people blame the kind of Solskjaer regime where they say these players haven't been properly trained. What we are going to have to do is put our heads together here and nail down a man of the match.
Really?
Yes, we seriously are. That's how we have to end the show. I'm trying to pick the spirits up, man. Do you know what I mean? It's the first time I've hosted a forum. We've been beaten 4-3.
I was just going to say, on the Sofian Amrabat thing, he should definitely, we shouldn't be having conversations about signing him permanently.
No chance.
Definitely not, because nothing against Mods,
no,
but people did that.
No,
but people did that with Reguilon.
Straight away said he would.
Yeah, people did that with Reguilon when he came in. And the one reason... Reguilon. Yeah. The one reason I say that is because Sofian is not the type of profile of player compared to Frankie de Jong. And as much as I'm Erik ten Hag critical and people think I'm out, but I'm Erik ten Hag critical, that is the player that he wanted. There is that profile, a ball-carrying defensive midfielder, someone who's press-resistant, and none of our DMs can do that. So, no, I'm not happy with it.
I'm yet to be convinced by him. I think I need a bit longer.
I just think that, especially with Casemiro, I'm not confident how long he's going to be here. I'm also not confident how you're even going to get De Jong. You tried to get him all summer, we didn't get him, so that's another speculation.
Sir Jim Ratcliffe money. Wave it at him.
I mean, we don't know where he's going to put. We don't know where he's even going to put them. We don't even know how much control he's even going to have himself on the signings. So, in my opinion, we're going to trust Kobe mainly to come and fill in that position.
Yeah,
so we also going to have
we
need at least 2 players in that position regardless, because injuries. You know what we saw this season.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I'd definitely still keep him.
Man of the match, though, on that, I'd say it has to be...
Maguire.
Ooh. It's a hot take. He should be in the Godfather's seat there.
I honestly don't know who else to give it to.
Maguire
or Ireland.
I was going to say Maguire.
Really?
Maguire or McTominay, I was going to say.
Wow.
I think they both had brilliant games. I thought they were the best. You could say Rasmus up to a point, but the second goal was like a tap in and stuff, but he did play really well. But over the 90 minutes, I think McTominay...
For what it's worth, I think I would have gone with Højlund. Based on the 2 goals, confidence-wise, I thought he held the ball up. And at stages when we needed a breather, he kind of turned on that Harry Kane mode where he was quite clever, he dropped. There was still fouls, but he was getting his body in front of the ball. Thought he was quite clever. And in a European game like that...
I remember Maguire made a big tackle as well, which in my opinion, as a defender, you don't really score that many goals, but when you make a big tackle, it's the same kind of impact.
Was that where he blocked the cross? Or
Yeah. Which, again, that's something that...
He was, and he is doing well, Maguire, at this moment in time.
Can't fault him at the moment. I'd like to, but you can't fault him.
For me, it has to be Rasmus Højlund.
Yeah?
Yeah, for 20 years old, he's lighting up the scene within the Champions League, and it's tap-ins, but tap-ins are a crucial part of the game.
Joint top scorer.
Yeah, you have to be there to score. He's shown his strength, and whenever he's on the pitch, whenever the ball is with him, he's drawing in fouls. You know, he's a menace for the centre backs. It's just loads of positives for him. It's just a shame.
And that is a mad stat. Did we hear when he scored the quickest Manchester United player to get to 5 Champions League goals?
Yeah.
That's quite impressive at 20 years old.
Yeah, you've won me over. I'm going for a Højlund.
But what I will say though, I think Wan-Bissaka had a good game as well.
I don't think so.
Nah, I think
so.
The
He started
first,
very well.
He started very well. The first goal was because of Wan-Bissaka, and that, I said it earlier on in the show, that goal wouldn't have happened if he wasn't playing. So
I think it's just times he just gets caught off
I'm glad he's
guard.
back, but sometimes he does lack concentration.
Well, Nana saved him on a goal as well.
Yeah.
Don't forget. When he was caught off, caught off guard.
Post,
he wasn't scanning his shoulders. But Rasmus Højlund for me.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Rasmus. Yeah.
I think we have completed the therapy forum for this evening.
You've done a fantastic job.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Well done.
It's very, very, very difficult.
But please, next time bring some luck.
Yeah, exactly. I had loads of jokes lined up. I was thinking, this is going to be the greatest night. When we're winning, you know, every time we got into a winning position, I'm thinking, this fan forum's going to be glorious. But listen, it's only as good as the company that you keep. So, AA, Mauds, and obviously Faz.
Thank you.
No, you've made it enjoyable. It is therapy. We have to sit here and dissect and go through, and I think we've done it justice.
Been a lot
Luton
of
game go next.
this season.
No,
Luton next. We're certainly not even going to think about that. I think we need a good night's sleep. We come back, we go again.
Yeah.
Is that what they say?
International break is desperately needed.
Again.
Thank you very much to all the viewers that have been watching. Thanks very much for all the super chats. Make sure you like the video if you liked what you've seen. There's still tickets for the United stand. Is it a not so silent night? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
With Mark, and everybody else is going to be there. That's in Manchester on, is it the 11th of December?
That's right.
Thank you for helping me out.
Judgment Day.
The team's helping me out big time here. But yeah, 11th of December. And make sure you get your Christmas jumper as well, because they are limited edition. Once they're gone, they're gone. It's no point waiting until December and then saying, oh, I might get a jumper because I've been on left.
Yeah.
But anyway, you've been watching the biggest Man United fan channel in the land. This was the United Stand.